Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs, and today I have a very cool match to show you guys. I don't think it's a secret that I really like NELL as a CO. Sadly, NELL is banned from almost every competitive format, but in the round 2 of the Advanced Wars Quack Cup, NELL was allowed as a CO pick, which made me very happy. And of course, I chose her immediately because I love NELL. She's so much fun to play, and I really think that she should be allowed more into competitive play. I think she is a tier 1 high fun CO and a tier 2 standard CO. I think they should just let her be a pick in the Global League. I know people are going to cry about it, but I actually think NELL is a CO that requires a lot of skill to use correctly. You need to know your probability. It's not just like a, spray and pray CO where you just like make engagements and hope that you roll high. You have to really know what engagements to take and which ones to not take. But yes, today we're going to be taking a look at the second game from the Advanced Wars Quack Cup. I was somehow able to make it through the first one. I played as Hachi and Eagle in a tag team format. It was a lot of fun. And today we're playing on another one of my favorite maps. Last one was Viridiaqua. This one is Mists of Avalorn. This is such a fun map. I love playing this map. And NELL, let me tell you, she has some very, very cool tricks up her sleeve in this map. And I'm looking forward to showing you guys the match. Now, my opponent is Miraculous XP, very strong player, 1252s. He's kind of like the strong and silent type. He didn't say like almost a word to me during the whole match. He said like, good luck, have fun, and then he said nothing. I don't know why, but it always makes me nervous when I go up against like a silent opponent. I prefer it when they chatter a little bit. But yeah, so this is a tag team matchup, and the rules for this tag team matchup was very interesting. So basically, the main CO had to be tier 1, and the secondary CO had to be tier 4. So big power gap between the main and the tag CO. This means that you want to be spending most of the matchup as your tier 1 CO. You only want to be tagging over to the tier 4 CO for the occasional power and utility. Now, I played around with many different combinations. I thought maybe I'll tag with Adder for the occasional move boost. Maybe Grim, like to tag over and do a Haymaker and then tag back. Because what's great about Grim is that you can tag over to get the Haymaker, and then you can tag away from Grim, so you don't have to suffer the enemy counterattack with his lower defense. I was thinking about maybe using Jess, tagging over to get the amazing overdrive. But in the end, I think I landed on the same conclusion that almost everyone else in this tournament landed on, and that is just Sami. She is the best tag team CO, at least in tier 4, because what's so great about Sami is that she's a utility CO through and through. She gives you a better capture phase, she has better movement on her transports, so you can start the game as Sami, you swap over to her immediately, you use her in the early phases of the game to secure a capture advantage, and then you tag over to your main CO to get rid of Sami's reduced vehicle firepower. And then, as the match goes on and you accumulate power, you tag over to Sami to get a victory march, you get a bunch of property, and you tag immediately back. So I really think in this format, there is no better pick than Sami, and I looked at a lot of other matches. It seems like a lot of people had the same idea. I think Sami is by far the best tag CO in this format. Honestly, it would have been more interesting if they banned her, I think, because Sami is usually pretty trash in high funds, but when you get the ability to not play as Sami for a majority of the match and just get access to her toolkit when it's needed, she's actually incredible. Now, for my main CO, of course, I went with NELL. This should be no surprise. I think NELL is amazing, and high funds she's even better, because there's so many high-tech units running around, mega tanks, neo tanks, medium tanks, so many juicy targets for her luck damage. And this map in particular has a base race component to it, and I think NELL is fantastic in a base race, because what does the opponent do when they want you to stop taking their base? They plunk down a mega tank, right? And then what does NELL do? Lady Luck, boom, that thing is dead. So she's incredibly strong in that format. My opponent went for a bit more of a safe pick. He went Max Sami. Now, Max is terrifying in high funds with his high firepower. A Max Blast can end the map instantly. But he does have a big weakness on this map that I think my opponent was not aware of when he initially selected him. So it's actually going to be quite hilarious. I'll show you guys once the match starts. And, ladies and gentlemen, I say we just start the match right now. I'm excited about this. So, not Viridiaqua, Mists of Avalorn. I'm in the red trunks right here as NELL. It's a mixed base format. One base here, one base here, one base here. My opponent has one base here, 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 and here. Usually, you have a choice. If you want to try and go for these little island airports right here, you need a black boat. It needs to travel very far to reach them. Some people just kind of handshake on Mists of Avalorn. They say, you know what, let's just not build any black boats. Let's not take the airports. Let's just fight on the ground. Generally speaking, I like to go for the airports early. I think it makes it more, it makes it for a more interesting matchup if you manage to get the airports, because then you get bombers, you can target the bases, you get battlecopters. It's a lot more fun. So both of us have tagged over to Sami here, and we're going to be staying as Sami for a majority of the early game. Of course, when you're playing as Sami, it's incredibly hard to interrupt your captures. You have to get the infantry to 3 HP or below to do so. Or is it 2, actually? I can never remember. I think it's... I don't remember if she rounds up or down. Because she captures a city, and she does 15 capture points, and then it's 5 capture points left. I think you need to do 2? Because 3 should still be... I'm actually unsure. No, I actually think 3 is fine, because I think, yeah, someone will point it out in the comment section. I don't know why, it's just one of those things I can never remember, whether you need to do 3 or 4 damage, or whether a Sami infantry needs to be at 3 HP or 4 HP before you interrupt the camp. I think it's 3. Anyway, so here you can see I go for the black boat immediately. My plan is to go and take this airport and deny my opponent's airport. That way I get air units, he doesn't, and that's a huge benefit for me. Now, of course, if you build the black boat immediately, and especially as Sami, you can get past here before your opponent has a meaningful chance of blocking it. And then if you build another black boat, you can take these 2 islands right here for 4k extra income. And because my opponent is Max, normally you build an artillery and you put the artillery right here to deny the city. Max has a harder time doing that. He really doesn't want to be building artillery in the first place. Of course, he can tag over to Sami, but still, you can see that's actually what he's doing, but he's building the artillery right here. And this is interesting, I think, because, again, he's maxed. So this artillery will be useless when he tags over to Max. But I think the idea is he wanted to try and deny my black boat from going here, but I don't think there's any way he can realistically do that. So he builds a tank, and immediately I use the black boat to transport my infantry all the way up there. And because I'm Sami, I'm feeling confident to go for a bunch of captures here. Because again, even a fellow Sami infantry cannot interrupt the capture from a Sami infantry. And I build a second black boat. So I actually opened 2 black boats early on here. So I'm going to try and get this island, and I'm going to try and get these 2 properties right here. And my game plan is I'm going to try and deny his black boat from going through this little gulf right here. And that way, I have air units, he doesn't. That's going to be my win condition. If you have the ability to bruise bomber and your opponent has to build anti-air, they're going to be in a really, really bad spot. So my opponent responds with a black boat, but I have a much bigger unit count here right now, and I have the ability to block his black boat from going through here. So he's building out some tanks. And here, I just put my black boat right here, and now there's nothing he can do. Right? There's nothing he can do to stop me from taking this airport right now. So I'm using my other black boat to transport my infantry over to this little island right here. And the capture phase goes on as it tends to do. Nothing amazing right here. I do build an artillery of my own because I plan to put the artillery right here to deny this black boat. He goes for his comm tower very early. I actually neglected mine for quite a while. And he does pick up an infantry right here. And I don't really know what he's doing with this artillery. I think he realizes now that there's no way he's going to be able to deny this. He builds a medium tank, which is fine. And now he swaps over to Max. So you can see this artillery right now is completely worthless. It doesn't really do anything at all. And now I use my black boat to get the airport and the middle island. And so I'm feeling pretty comfortable right now. I think this opener is a very strong one. And sure, he's built a medium tank, but I'm going to build some rockets because NELL rockets are pretty damn amazing. Sami rockets are fine too, they don't get any weaker, but NELL rockets are amazing. They deal so much damage. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So, I actually feel confident doing this right now. And let's see, give me a second. Sorry, I got a weird error on my OBS. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't anything with the recording, but it seems to be okay. Alright, so here, it's going to be tough for me to deny this black boat, but this rocket has a second purpose, and that's the fact that if I put it right here on the shoal, it'll deny the infantry from getting the airport. So this rocket has kind of like a dual purpose right here, but I do have to be careful because it is a max medium tank right here. And now he builds missiles. And he kind of has to build missiles, because if I can successfully deny this airport, then there is no way that he can deny this airport from pumping up bombers. Now, he can put the missile here, and the missile will be able to airlock this, or base lock this airport. But, ladies and gentlemen, he's playing as Max. My opponent just built missiles as Max. Now, we can tag over to Sammy, sure. But this puts a lot of restrictions on what CO he wants to use, because he's pretty much stuck as Sami if he wants to airlock the airport. And the moment he tags over to Max, he's no longer able to lock down the airport. And I can just build a bomber and destroy the missile, or a battlecopter to destroy the missile. So he's in a bit of a pickle right now. Built some mech, interestingly enough. But I mean, I guess he has Sami as a tag CO, so that does work. So I build a Neo tank right now. I tried to go for the interrupt. He is Sami right now, so he will get this. Actually, he will not, because he was Max when he initiated the capture, so the city has 10 capture points left, so this will not be enough, I think. And here I'm actually attempting to do something even more cheeky. I'm actually threatening to send the black boat around here. So, you know, I'm trying to go around, and maybe if I'm extra cheeky, I might be able to get this airport. If you can secure both airports on Mist of Avalorn, your opponent is in a lot of trouble. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So he has tagged over to Sami, and it'll take him 2 turns for the missile to get in position, and after that, so he's kind of locked himself into Sami right now if he wants to actually take this airport. And again, I can just build a single battlecopter and attack his missile. But sadly, he is able to get the airport. But luckily, I have the rocket. And the rocket should be able to interrupt here. So he moves pretty aggressively forward, goes for a bunch of captures right now. And he stays as Sami. And day 9 rolls in. Now I finished capping the airport, and I moved my black boat onto the shoal tile so he can't deny it with his missile. And then I put my rocket right here. And I feel pretty good about this, but I realized that I have made a crucial mistake. Now, what is this mistake? He's Sami. The rocket is not going to be able to interrupt this. Because if we take a look at the rocket right here, well, the rocket has a chance to interrupt it, because it brings the infantry down to 3. Again, this is kind of what I wasn't sure. This is probably something I should have tested beforehand, but I wasn't sure necessarily if I'd be able to use this rocket to interrupt the capture. At least not unless I roll high and I get over 80% damage and I reduce the infantry down to 2 HP. But here, I decide to get a little cheeky. And I think long and hard. And I decide to set up for a bit of an attack. This next turn, I want to do something kind of funny. I spend some time in Move Planner figuring this one out. And I deal some damage to the infantry because this 4 HP infantry is dead anyway. So, here he picks up some of the infantry, but he also moves pretty aggressively into my range. He attacks my black boat, giving me a lot of power charge. And again, he's still stuck playing as Sami. And he builds a mega tank to protect his base, because he realizes that a base attack is coming. So here on day 10, I spend a lot of time in Move Planner, and I realize that my best bet for getting damage done right here is to attack him. If I pop a Lucky Star, I might be able to one-shot this infantry capturing the airport right here. Because if I pop Lucky Star, there's a chance that I might kill him. So I play around in Moon Planner for a little bit, and I decide to take an engagement with the tank, build a bomber, attack the mech with my tank, and pop a Lucky Star. And then, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to roll the dice. Tank against Mega Tank. Only 1 HP of damage. Not great. Neo Tank, boom! Down to 3 HP, baby! Almost killed the tank, and here I was so upset. I didn't one-shot. I did not one-shot. I was hoping this would one-shot and kill the infantry. I think, statistically, how likely was this to happen? We get this back up to 10. 79 to 121. I think it was a 50-50. Yeah, because it's 21 on both sides. So it's a 50-50. It's a coin flip chance to kill this infantry. But I did not kill it, and I was very sad about that. But I continue attacking, and I get some very good luck rolls here, actually. Even bring down the medium tank a little bit. I get a lot of nice infantry attacks here. But, ladies and gentlemen, I have made a huge mistake. I forgot who I was up against. He doesn't have Max as his active CO right now. He has Sami. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my god, what a buffoon I am. He's gonna get the airport anyway now. So he pops his victory march. And he gets 1, 2, 3. Oh, he gets so many good engagements right here. He doesn't quite kill my tank, though, which is nice. Actually, no, he still kills it. 4 captures. He doesn't kill, or he does end up killing my tank, so that's kind of annoying. And then he builds an anti-air. 5, 6 captures. Yeah, that was devastating. And this just really goes to show I'm kind of inexperienced fighting Sami. I am extremely inexperienced. And because I have my power active, this doesn't even give me power charge. So it's not like I get a victory march after this. So I really think... So, a couple of really big mistakes with me right here. I should have tagged over to Sami the moment. Like, I don't know why I stayed as NELL. I have no idea why I decided to stay as NELL here. I should have tagged over to Sami the moment. Because at the very least, if I had tagged over to Sami now, look at all the counter captures that I could have initiated, right? I have this this infantry here, which could have taken a city. This infantry could have taken here, 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 here. I could have taken back almost every single city that he captured from me this turn. I have no idea why I did not just tag back to Sami. It's not like I needed that luck on enemy phase. So yeah, absolute blunder on my part. It really goes to show how inexperienced I am in tag team battles. It just didn't occur to me that I should tag away at the end of my turn. So yeah, if I had done that, I would have had an amazing counterattack here. But I didn't. So, but I continue fighting. I'm still playing as NELL, so I have some luck damage. And I do have a bomber. And keep in mind, he's tagging over to Max right now, which means his missiles are not locking down my airport. This is what I was talking about earlier. So I have the ability to build a second bomber right here. Of course, these bombers would have been even more devastating if he had not had this airport. So I'm very sad that my rocket did not kill here. Otherwise, I would have still been in a winning position right here if he did not have his airport. Because what can you do against the bomber spammer when you can only build anti-air? It's so crippling, right? And your max, so like carrier's not really going to work either. So he tanks over to Max, and I'm pretty sure he pops his power. I think the UI is bugged. Or does he not? I don't know if... I think he popped his power, but I'm not sure. I think he popped his normal power. I think the UI is just bugged. Or maybe he's actually saving it. Yeah, I don't know why it still says super here. I don't want to refresh because refreshing really messes with the UI. You know what? Let me just do a pause. All right, so no, he actually sat on his power this turn, which I think is actually pretty cool. Like that shows a lot of restraint. And of course, he does build a fighter from this airport right here, and that's really bad for me. But I popped my Lucky Star, and I tried to go for this engagement. Now, Bomber versus Mega Tank with Lucky Star up, I do believe that has a chance to kill. Actually, no. 29 to 70, really. Wow, I'm surprised. That's less than I thought. But I'm able to do 3 HP of damage, which isn't that great. And then my rocket, of course, deals nice, phenomenal damage. You can still see I'm actually in a pretty good position here. But imagine if I had Sami right now with Victory March. I could have taken that base immediately, and the game would have swung in my favor. But because I mismanaged my tag COs, I do not have that at this point. And because I also popped my power, I'm not generating power charge. So, yeah. Again, not great power management by me, but I still take out a lot of units this turn, and despite the devastating Victory March last turn, I'm still looking to be in a pretty good position. So here I do actually do the reasonable thing, and I swap my COs around. So now, at the very least, when he does his counter push, I will be able to get my victory march next turn. And now I have a lot of infantry in the area. So here, he decides to pop his max force. He showed a lot of restraint with his powers this turn. There was no need for him to pop max blast here, I think. Max force kind of gave him everything he wanted here, as you can see. So he actually target firing my infantry, which is very smart, and even attacks my missiles, and he blocks all of his cities, builds another mega tank. But he's still at max, which means that he's still not locking down this airport right here. So now I do have my victory march. At long last, on day 13, I am finally able to use my victory march. I should have gotten it like 5 days ago. But this is a nice victory march. I'm able to get 1 city, 2 cities, 3 cities, 4 cities, 5 cities, 6 cities. So I'm actually able to actually equalize the capping count and then a little bit more. So, but I think I'm being way too reckless with my infantry here personally. And I'm even using this black boat to threaten his base, but because I'm not NELL this turn, I'm not really able to do anything about this mega tank. And yeah, this is kind of unfortunate. Like, at max fighters, Asami, not great. As you can see, I'm taking a lot of damage back here. So, but yeah, I'm still not able to take down this base, and for some weird reason, I decided to move my bomber away. I should have just gone for the mega tank, honestly, but I was scared of this fighter right here. I thought I moved it outside of his range, but I realized that I thought for some reason he popped his superpower this turn. So I checked his movement, and I was like, okay, if as long as I keep it out of range of this fighter, I should be fine, because he'll lose the movement next turn. But then I was like, oh shit, he popped his power, so I should have put the bomber here. So that was a big blunder. I swapped back to NELL. I think one of the biggest differences of tag battles is that you can generate power after a CO power. I think that is by far the most different thing about a tag battle. So, but it's his turn, and he pops another max force, and he gets this bomber, or at least he brings it down to 3 HP, which is a little bit sad. And at this point, I'm realizing that my momentum is starting to fail pretty hard. He's not going to produce a bunch of units, and I don't have my missile in place to lock his airport. And now he's probably going to tag over to Sami again, and he will get an airport lock on me, which is annoying. But, ladies and gentlemen, I do have one last trump card. I have my Lady Luck. This is the luck. I need to roll maximum luck right now. I need really, really good rolls. I attack the Mega Tank, and I deal 4 HP of damage with my infantry, which is nice. Shit roll against the fighter. Decent roll against this tank right here. I attack the Mega Tank again, bring it down to 1 health. I kill the Mega Tank, which is nice. And now I do have an airport lock, but of course he can kill the missile, so I had to build another missile to cover my missile. And I used my battlecopter to take out his missiles, and no longer does he have an airport lock on me, which is nice. And I still, like, it's still looking pretty decent for me. But, and I swap back to Sami again. I've learned from my mistakes from the early stages of this match, and I swap back. But, ladies and gentlemen, he has Sami right now, and he pops another victory march, and he gets 1 capture, 2 captures, 3 captures. I mean, Sami is just such a good tag CO. It's crazy, man. And now he has a big advantage again. And once again, swap splash to max, and we have to deal with the threat of the max blast next turn as well. And at this point, I realized that it's going to be pretty tough to keep playing. Like, he is really pushing me back on his weak side right now, and he has such an air presence with 2 fighters. They're going to be very hard for me to kill. I do have an airport lock on him right now, but he can easily kill that with a bomber if he wants to, and he probably should. But yeah, now right now he's pushing me pretty hard back. I had some momentum going, but I wasn't able to capitalize on it, and now he's really building up a death squad, and it's going to be really, really hard for me to do anything here. So at this point, I remember, should I try and pop Victory March? Now I'm going to try and set up for a Victory March next turn, potentially. But he has too many forces around here now, and his eco advantage is also a little bit too significant. And here he just decides to kill my missile. And he pops a max blast, and now he's going to start target firing my infantry. And this is pretty much the GG right here. This is the game-ending push. This is why Max is so scary in iFunds. If you let it get to this point, then his max blasts are just going to wipe you off the map. So I decided to throw in the towel, ladies and gentlemen. So very enjoyable match. I definitely could have played that a lot better. I think my biggest mistake in the early goings of this game right here was not tagging over to Sammy after my first power. I don't know why I didn't do that. If I had done that, I would have had a victory march to respond to his victory march, and I would have done much better for myself. But for some reason, I just insisted on staying as NELL, which lost me so much power charge. He just fired off so many more victory marches than I did this match, which definitely gave him an advantage. But I think in the early goings of the match, I really had a strong opener. I took the airport early, I denied his airport for a while, I took the middle, central island. You know, as NELL, I had a small opportunity to actually take his base. So I think I had a good shot in this match, but again, just not tagging over to Sami after my first lucky star, that was where things went wrong. Again, when you have Sami as a tag match partner, you have to get those victory marches in. They're so crucial because they give you a lot of eco very quickly. But well played, Miraculous XP. Cheering for you to get further into this tournament. I had a grand time. Really sad I didn't make it farther because this tournament is amazing, but there's always next time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. Give a like and a comment if you enjoyed this match. My name is Mengs. I shall see you next time.